Welcome to Talladega Super Speedway, 45 minutes east of Birmingham, an hour and a half west of Atlanta at legal speeds, where today we will qualify the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series cars for tomorrow's 500-mile race. It is a gorgeous day. Calm winds, bright sunny skies. Ambient 70 degrees, 115-degree track temperature as the first car rolls in a brand new qualifying format for the Sprint Cup Series. So that no driver affects another driver's speed, either positively or negatively, NASCAR has gone to rapid-fire single-car qualifying. In round one, all 45 cars will participate. The fastest 12 will advance to round two, where they will rerun. Those 12 cars will rerun to set the first 12 positions for tomorrow's race. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and Darrell Waltrip as Danica Patrick. The 2013 Daytona 500 pole winner takes her GoDaddy Chevrolet out for her qualifying lap.
You know, Mike, all I've heard is good things about this qualifying format. Everybody, the drivers, everybody's real happy with the change they made for qualifying at Daytona and Talladega particularly.
We had the two practices yesterday, 1-hour sessions. She was 6th in the first practice and 16th in that second practice we had.
Green flag at the start-finish stripe just past the end of pit road.
Yeah, you might say what's different. Well, in the past, the driver would come by, get the green flag, and their first lap they'd be right up next to the wall, using the most, making the track as big as they possibly could. Then on what we would call the money lap, they would drop to the bottom of the racetrack like you see Danica doing here now. So you just don't have that wind-up, warm-up lap. You come by, you get the green, you get your time, you go to the pits.
But the bottom line is you're trying to travel the shortest distance around this 2.66-mile track.
Patrick is 16th in the Sprint Cup standings with 2 top 10 finishes. So far this season, she has led in the last 2 races here at Talladega. In the tri-oval where the start-finish line is at Daytona, around past the end of pit road to complete her qualifying lap. 49.918 seconds, 191.8 miles per hour. Well, certainly this is a different format, but, Larry, it's a fair format for everyone.
But what I like about it, and I think it's what the garage area likes, you come down here, and whoever has the fastest car today, unlike the last year or so, is going to sit on the pole today to start this 500-mile race tomorrow.
What I like, Mike, is this involves everybody. This is not just a driver going out there and getting a lucky lap in, getting the right place, the right draft. This involves the crew chief, the team, the engine builder, the guys that put the bodies on these cars. This involves the entire operation. And when they come down here, they come down here with a lot of pride. And who can have the fastest car in these qualifying runs is very important to the teams in the garage.
So Danica Patrick is the first of 45 drivers. The second is Martin Truex Jr. from Mayoda, New Jersey. And what we will, Furniture Row Motorsports.
What we'll still accomplish, it's going to go by in a hurry. It's not going to be no long, drawn-out 2 or 2.5 hours.
No, we should cut it about half because we're running half as many laps.
That's right.
This is one track where, Mike, you always ran both laps. It wasn't like one and done. It was always both laps.
Yeah, previous single-car qualifying was the better of your 2 laps. This is single car, single lap. Chris Neville?
Yeah, Mike, I think it was 2012 the last time we did single-car qualifying. And, Matt, you're going to go out 14th here. Is there anything you can do as a driver to try and help that speed along?
Well, there's little things. I mean, the faster you get up to speed, being 1 lap, obviously it's going to help. And you want to be as smooth as you can, but really not very much. The drivers, everybody that's going to try to attempt to race tomorrow is also good. Nobody's going to possibly mess up a lap here. So you go and get the best lap you can, and hope you're in that top 12 so you can make another one and get ready to race tomorrow.
And Matt Kenseth looking for his first pole here in Talladega. Matt?
Chris, the Wood brothers from Stewart, Virginia, always known for their reputation of speed and going to victory lane, especially here at Talladega. 5 times a winner, rookie Ryan Blaney behind the wheel. So 3 starts this year. You qualified 12th at Talladega. How much speed do you have in this Ford?
I think we have pretty good speed. I was pretty happy with our single car speed yesterday in practice, and we've definitely made a lot of gains from Daytona to here as far as just actual speed in the race car. So really excited to be back in this 21 Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford Fusion for the Wood brothers, and it's always great to come out here and race with these guys, and especially at a cool place like Talladega, which I've been a couple times. So we're excited to be out here and ready to go see what kind of lap we can lay down.
Qualifying for his 4th Cup race this year, Mike.
Brian Scott completes his lap 49.67 seconds for the full-time Xfinity Series driver. You'll see their race coming up later this afternoon on Fox Sports 1. Scott is fastest. Casey Kane, the first of the 4-car Rick Hendrick team to make a qualifying lap.
That's 192 miles an hour for Scott. That's a great lap, 49.6. That's right up there with the best laps I saw single car yesterday.
Now our dynamic timing here, as long as that box is green, Kane is faster than the fastest car so far. If it flips to red, then he's a little off pace against the fastest car.
And Mike, one lap that we can see on our scoring monitor is the get up to speed lap when they leave pit road. Casey Kane was about 0.2 quicker than Brian Scott, and I think we're seeing something very similar with this actual lap here.
Top of the board for Kane by 1/10 of a second. 49.577 seconds for Enumclaw, Washington's Casey Kane. Landon Castle currently 4th of 5 with a lap of 50.006 seconds in his Chevrolet. And on the track, Alex Bowman driving for Tommy Baldwin, the Golden Corral Chevy.
You know, back to Landon Castle, Mike. Qualifying's one thing, racing is another. Landon actually finished 4th here in the fall race last year.
Yeah, that little team just keeps really performing. I mean, beyond expectations, I think.
Checkers for Bowman, 6th of 6, 50.235, Matt.
And David Reagan, an Xfinity and Sprint Cup win here at Talladega. So, and mix of old and new with this format. What's the biggest challenge for the driver?
You know, for us, just not to make a mistake. You know, leaving pit road, we need to hit our marks, you know, shift the right way. You don't have that second lap. You got to get up to speed quick that first lap. There's a little bit of wiggle room through the tri-oval, and, you know, how quick do you blend down to the bottom? Do you run a little bit higher entry into one? But really, I just got to hold the steering wheel straight and turn left twice and hold it to the floor. But Adam Stevens and all these pedigree Toyota guys have done a nice job. I think our car's going to race really good. We didn't make a qualifying run yesterday, so I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to go have some fun, and it's a lot more simple than the big packs that we used to have qualifying, so I think I like this a little better.
Paul Menard on track in the Quaker State Menard Chevrolet.
I think you heard David Reagan. Matt Kenseth said, no, there's nothing a driver can do. Let me tell you, there's a lot a driver can do, and you just heard David Reagan explain most of it.
Paul Menard to the top of the chart. He's the fastest of 7 so far. Rookie Jeb Burton, the Maxim Fantasy Sports Toyota, working hard to get in the show. Probably has to get in on time. Wouldn't have a provisional, 50.235. Sam Hornish, 49.623 in his Medallion Bank Ford. That's 3rd quickest.
That's a great lap, and let me tell you what Sam did, and I wondered why the other hadn't done it. He used the apron coming through the tri-oval here. He dropped that thing way down below that yellow line, which is perfectly legal for qualifying.
This is Michael Annette in the Benefit Chevrolet, teammate to Justin Allgaier at Harry Scott Motorsports.
And quite honestly, if you get on that apron back early, there's no real transition there. So you get down on it, it's nice and smooth. Now, if you decide halfway through the tri-oval to drop down on it, there's going to be a transition, and that's going to upset the car a little bit. So you got to plan that. You can't make up your mind coming down here to get the checkered flag. Oh, I might try the apron now.
But I think Sam Hornish made his mind up yesterday because he actually practiced it yesterday.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys sometimes don't realize or hadn't thought about that that's perfectly legal for qualifying.
Michael Annette, 50.36 seconds. He is 9th quickest. Chris?
Well, and Casey Mears was 9th quick in final practice yesterday. And Casey, you guys had a fast car at Daytona. You finished 6th there, but you brought a new car this weekend. What goes into that decision-making process when you had a fast car at Daytona?
Yeah, well, the guys are always trying to make progress, you know, and based on the tools that we have, you know, the scans and the stuff that we rely on, this car is hopefully going to be a little bit better. You always try to, at Daytona, bring a car that maybe will handle a little bit better than the one at Talladega just because it gets a little slipperier. You know, the car starts sliding around. At Talladega, it's a little bit easier wide open, so you try to build a car as slick as you can. And, you know, we got a good GEICO Chevrolet, and we'll see where we stack up here. So far, the 27 and the 33 were pretty quick, so hopefully we'll get right up in there with them.
Thanks, Chris. A.J. Allmendinger on track in the number 47 from JTG Doherty Racing. That's the Kroger Hungry Jack Chevrolet. He has 2 top 10s this year and finished 5th in this race last spring.
You can see right now he's tracking about 4.5 tenths, close to 5 tenths behind Paul Menard.
put him right about 6th at the flag. 7th, 50.07 for A.J. Allmendinger as qualifying continues at Talladega. Here's Matt DiBenedetto in the dustless blasting Toyota. He is the 13th driver to qualify, or 12th driver to qualify, and he is 12th at 50.707. On the track, J.J. Yaley from Phoenix in the Dr. Pepper Toyota. Now, most of the Xfinity Series races are on Fox Sports 1. J.J. Yaley, one of the drivers doing double duty. He'll be in that Xfinity race this afternoon, and it will air right here on Fox.
You know, Larry, I always like the old crew chiefs that always say, I believe I won't be down in them 49s if I'm going to have a shot at this thing.
And I think that's where you're going to have to be, no question.
Right now, the fastest car, Menard, at a 49. Not sure that's going to be the quickest car, but I'd like to be down in them 49s before it's over with.
And remember, this run does not secure the pole, only a chance for the fastest 12 to move into round number 2. So, our interval on the ticker will still be to the pole down in the lower left, but you can see that our cutoff line has now gone to the top 12. So 12 will advance to round 2, and the rest of the field will be set from there as Matt Kenseth from Wisconsin rolls out in the Dollar General Toyota, one of the 4-car Joe Gibbs Racing entries.
I just know one thing, green is good. When you see green, that's a good thing.
Well, and that's what we're seeing on Matt Kenseth. These Toyota drivers, they had a lot of speed back at Daytona Speed Weeks. In fact, Matt Kenseth won the Sprint Unlimited, the actual first race of the season.
7th in points for Kenseth with 1 pole, 1 win, and 3 top 5 finishes in this young season.
Left a little speed off turn 4 there, coming down here to get the checkered flag. It's going to be really, really close. He went to the apron. Not.
2nd
for Kenseth by 1/100th of a second to Paul Menard.
It was there until he started entering the travel area and coming out that area toward the checkered flag.
But Larry, what I saw is he should have committed to the apron at the apron. When he was coming to the apron, get down on it, he decided kind of half-heartedly to use it. Maybe it upset the car just a little bit.
Greg Biffle in the Ortho Ford. He's the leader of the 3-car Roush Fenway team, 21st in the standings with just 1 top 10 so far. But he was runner-up here in last spring's race.
This Edo engine just humming along. What, Larry, 82, 8400 maybe?
Yeah, and as it drives off pretty much into the 33 degrees of banking, you don't even hear the engine change pitch right there.
That's a good car when it doesn't drop off any speed in the corner, or a minimum amount of speed in the corner. That's when your car is really handling right and usually makes a pretty fast lap.
He's flirting with the top 5. Actually,
6th for Biffle, 49.70 for his Ford. Now, he was fastest in yesterday's final practice, but that was in the draft, not single car runs.
These are still good fast laps. That 49.49 is 193 miles an hour. These are pretty fast laps.
You know, Darrell, one thing that I do like about the conditions today, contrary to yesterday, and this really hadn't been a factor with the way we've been doing the qualifying, the wind is absolutely, I don't even think it's hardly even blowing, so that's really not going to affect one driver more so than another if it stays that way.
Yeah, I noticed all the flags are pretty just limp on the poles, as you can see there, so no real wind factor to worry about.
Well, yesterday they looked like a piece of plywood standing out there.
No windshield factor to worry about.
Ohio's Ryan Blaney driving for the fabled Wood brothers, as Matt explained, in the Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford. It'll be our 16th qualifier. Now, because this team runs a limited schedule, he must be in the fastest 36 to make the race on time. No provisional start available for Blaney. Wow, good one. 3rd, 49.508, the identical time to Matt Kenseth. Great run for Blaney as Jimmy Johnson looks on. After missing the last few races, failing to qualify, Brendan Gaughan from Las Vegas has a good run in the Dia-Thrive Chevrolet. He is 11th fastest, which means he's likely to make the top 36 and get into this race on speed. 50.13 for Gaughan. Past series champ Bobby Labonte in the C&J Energy Services Ford. Your next qualifier.
Trying to make his 43rd start here at Talladega. He has a pole, he has a win here.
And that should do it. 50.09 puts Labonte 11th of 18 right now.
Pretty good lap for the 32 car.
Here is Jamie McMurray from Joplin, Missouri. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 9th in the Sprint Cup standings coming into Talladega. Won here in October of 2013.
Which was actually his last trip to Victory Lane. He also made his very first career start here subbing for Sterling Marlin that was injured back in October of 2002.
This is the McDonald Chevrolet for Chip Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. To make the top 12, you have to beat Brendan Gaughan's 50.13.
Jamie all the way down on the apron through the trial with that one car.
And he's done it. He's 9th, 49.97 for McMurray. That bumps Gaughan out of the top 12.
Now, I heard somebody question the apron, and maybe it's a little bumpy, but as I listened to McMurray, you can hear in the engines if the cars are going into any bumps or anything, and it sounded real solid and smooth, so I don't think that's a real problem.
Austin Dillon, who's the pole sitter for the Xfinity race later this afternoon on Fox, in number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing.
But Darrell, I think you're spot on. If you're going to run the apron, you have to commit to it at the beginning of the trial.
Yeah, way back there where the pit road starts, get down on it and use the whole thing. Don't just drop on it halfway through, because that could upset the car.
They wave the green flag later today for the Xfinity Series. It'll be the Dillon brothers, Austin and his younger brother Ty, sharing the front row.
Right now, he is just tracking a little over a tenth off of his teammate Paul Menard in that 27 car. It's going the wrong way now as he came off of turn 4. Like the car may have been a little bit tight, just bogged down there.
Yeah, it's losing time coming to the line like it almost got too hot.
6th, though, for Dillon, 49.67, and that will take Labonte out of the top 12. Michael Waltrip looking on. He'll be part of our broadcast team for the Xfinity race later today. Josh Wise, 32-year-old triathlete from Riverside, California, driving for Phil Parsons Racing in the Phoenix Construction Ford, has run his qualifying lap 15th fastest at a 15:50.20. And Justin Allgaier in the Brandt Agriculture Chevrolet from Springfield, Illinois, completes his run 50.20, 16th fastest. Now, since Daytona, when Kyle Busch was injured in the Saturday race, David Reagan has filled in for Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 18 Toyota. This week, the Pedigree dog food car. This will be his last ride in this car. They're going to promote young phenom Eric Jones, beginning in Kansas, to drive the 18 until Kyle is ready to return. And Reagan will move over to Michael Waltrip Racing after this week.
But I love the way David talked to Chris down there and broke down a lap of the things the driver can do to help get a good lap.
Good lap for him, 5th, 49.59 for that 18 car.
And happy birthday to Kyle Busch, continuing his recovery from a broken leg and a broken foot from that Daytona crash. 30 years old today. Chris Neville.
Well, Carl Edwards going to go out right near the end of this first round of qualifying. And Carl, right now you've got 2 teammates that are up in the top 5. Any information get passed down the line to you guys?
Not a lot of information exchange, because really you've got what you got, but I guess temperature stuff would be important, you know, and the other thing I'm watching is just the line people are taking, whether they're cutting across that apron or not. I can't really tell what's faster, so I think our Aris Toyota is pretty good. It ran really well in practice qualifying, so hopefully it's good enough to get up there in the front row. Matt's doing great. Looks like Dave was pretty fast too.
Well, Carl started in the top spot back in 2013, but that qualifying session was rained out.
Here is Jeff Gordon going for the top of the board in his Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet. He is the winningest active driver at Talladega, but it's been 14 races since he's been to Victory Lane here.
This is a big lap right here.
Yeah, his get up to speed lap was unbelievable compared to Paul Menard. How about 49.17 for that 24 car?
Yeah, I want to be way down in them 49s. That's way down in them 49s.
Matt?
And catching up with Michael Waltrip, you're watching Jeff Gordon's lap. What do you expect to see out of the 55 car?
I thought we would have a chance to be one of the fastest, but that 49.17 is pretty amazing. I was just talking to Jeff about the upcoming Xfinity race we're going to work together, and he was very confident that he had a fast Chevy, and looked forward to that qualifying run. I see why now. That's amazing. I didn't know anybody could go that fast.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, Jeff may be a little late to the booth because he definitely will be in round 2 with that lap at 194.74 miles per hour.
That is steamy, Mike. That is a big, big lap right there. 194 miles an hour, single car. That's big.
Casey Mears from Bakersfield, California, in the GEICO Chevrolet, top 10 in 5 of his last 7 races at Daytona and Talladega, including the last 3. Those are NASCAR's 2 tracks where we run these restrictor plates.
I believe he might end up in the top 10 with this lap. 8th quickest for the 13 car, 49.65.
Nice lap. Very nice.
Eric Almirola driving Richard Petty's number 43 Ford, the fresh from Florida entry for the Tampa, Florida native. 11th in the point standings. Still looking for his first top 10 finish of the season. So we'll compare his lap to Danica Patrick, who is 10th fastest right now. Or excuse me, 12th fastest right now. That is the cutoff point. So red means you would not advance, and green means you'd advance to the final round by putting yourself into a top 12 spot.
Larry, I heard Casey Mears as he was coasting down the back. We used to do that called a coast down lap. And if the driver's really sharp, you'll listen to that air going around the car, and maybe he can tell the crew chief, look, I'm had a lot of air beating on the car when I was coasting down. We need to look at that and see if we can clean the car up a little bit. Very helpful.
Almirola was on track to be 2nd fastest, but ends up 14th at 49.97. Say that one's built for comfort, not for speed. GEICO 500 qualifying from Talladega on Fox. Sponsored by Bud Light, the perfect beer for whatever happens. 27 drivers have taken time. Riverside, California's David Gilliland in the Farm Ridge Ford is 23rd at 50.32 seconds.
And Mike, let's don't forget, this is an impound. And so whatever it's what you heard the driver say, you got what you got. Carl Edwards, some of those guys. You bring the car back in and you really can't do anything to it.
Now, Jimmy Johnson in his 48 car, you can see right there, quite a bit off of Jeff Gordon. He had a great get up to speed lap, but he's not anything near Jeff Gordon land with this lap.
7th fastest for Johnson, 49.601.
That's right in there. We'll see how it turns out. That's danger zone.
So 7th for the Lowe's Chevrolet.
I don't know. He's got a 49.6, and there's a bunch of 49.6s below him.
Well, that knocks Danica Patrick out of the top dozen, moves Greg Biffle onto the hot seat. Kyle Larson, compared to Biffle, he is the bubble car. Right now, Larson also for Chip Ganassi Racing, 3 top 10s so far this season. He's in the top 20 in the standings.
Yeah, and don't forget that's Hendrick power, so plenty of steam on the hood. See that from Jeff Gordon.
But right now, his teammate Jamie McMurray in the 1 is actually outside the top 12, but you can see Kyle Larson coming through 3 and 4 is tracking inside the top 12.
He's actually holding his own, Larry, which we've seen a number of cars lose time off for. He's holding his own all the way down here to the checkered flag. Losing time coming to the checkered flag, but it's going to be fine.
10th for Larson, 49.67. And that will take Greg Biffle out of the top 12 by just 3/100ths of a second. Brad Keselowski for Team Penske. The Miller Lite Ford, 5th in the standings. He has a win and 3 top 5s. And we'll compare him to 12th place on the ticker. Brian Scott on the bubble.
The Team Penske Ford drivers, they have won the last 2 restrictor plate races. Brad won here when we were here in the fall. Joey Logano won the Daytona 500 a few months ago. Into the backstretch, Brad's actually tracking inside the top 12. You can see the green chip there.
Yeah, he's gaining time in 3 and 4. Don't see that every car.
3 restrictor plate wins. He's never led more than 13 laps in one of these races at Daytona for Talladega.
Man, he's losing it fast, though, coming to the checkered flag. He was great down the back and into 3 and 4, but
going to be close.
Going to be right on the money.
Did it. 49.674 to Brian Scott's 49.677. Scott's out. Keselowski is in for now, with 15 cars yet to qualify.
7 cars, well, actually, if you look at the Reagan in the 18, he's at a 59. Then there's 6.0, 6.2, 6.5, 6.7, 6.7, 6.7, 6.7, all the way down to Scott.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. from Olive Branch, Mississippi. 25th in the point standings with 1 top 5 finish. And 2 top 10s here at Talladega. This is the 5th third bank Ford for Roush Fenway Racing.
When you see those times, Mike, and you look at what Jeff Gordon ran, that lap is extraordinary compared to everyone else. That is an incredibly much faster lap than what anybody else is. The closest to him is a 49.
Sure. When'd you ever come to Talladega and have 3 tenths in the bank over the field?
Never.
Rare.
Never.
Rare. And we told you Keselowski beat Scott by 3/1000ths of a second. On the racetrack, that's 10 inches of distance. That's all. Ricky Stenhouse clocks in 18. Jeff Gordon is fastest. Here's Cole Witt for Front Row Motorsports, 50.466 seconds in the Speed Stick Ford. That's going to be a little borderline, making it on time. Kurt Busch on track in the Haas Automation Chevrolet. Excuse me. Let's check with Chris Neville.
Well, Jeff Gordon, just looking at timing and scoring over here. That big lap that you did, 3/10 quicker than everybody else. But in that second round, drivers that go late in the first round, are they going to have any benefit because of the heat that they have in the drive line?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching the Xfinity qualifying, which this is all new to us. I like it. You know, it's great. These guys put so much effort into these cars, from when the body's put on them to the paint shop to putting it, all the parts and pieces together, all those details, the engine shop. So my hat's off to all these guys in this drive-in Hunger Chevrolet, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. That's a great lap. I don't know. I would think that you would go faster, but watching Xfinity, they didn't. So you would think a little heat in the drive line and everything usually would be good. Obviously, heating the engine is not good. So maybe cooling them down for 8 minutes. Maybe that's not quite enough to keep all the power that's in there. But that's exciting. That's cool. I'm glad. I think we're going to make it to the second round. We'll see what we got in the second round.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
We should easily make the second round.
Yeah.
Kurt Busch, 14th at a 49.69 in his Chevrolet. Just outside the top dozen. Brad Keselowski on the bubble. Here's Michael McDowell in the Thrivent Financial Ford. For Levine Family Racing out of Dallas. They run a limited schedule.
It's fun, isn't it? 2 weeks ago, we're in Bristol on a half mile. Last week, we're at Richmond on the 3/4 mile. And today, here we are at the biggest super speedway we go to. 2.66 miles Talladega. 194 miles an hour. Get you some of that.
Michael McDowell, 50.548 seconds, 31st quickest. In the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet, it looks like he's going to break into the top 12 as he comes out of the Tri-Oval.
Picking up speed.
And to the finish line of his qualifying lap, 9th for Stewart, 49.634. That will bump Brad Keselowski. And while we were away, Ryan Newman in the Caterpillar Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing came close, was 14th, now 15th at 49.69. Only 6/100ths of a second outside the top dozen. And Denny Hamlin for Joe Gibbs Racing in the FedEx Express Toyota is our next qualifier.
Yeah, and his 2 teammates, Matt Kenseth and David Reagan, they are both up inside the top 6 right now. And Darrell, looks like to me, if you run a high 49.5, you're going to advance. But if you run a mid to high 49.6, you're flirting with not making the top 12 right now.
Well, let's run down to 6s. Johnson's a 46, 4.60. I mean a 6.0, and then you go 6.3, 6.5, 6.7, 6.7, 6.7, 6.7, 6.9, 6.9.
So here's Hamlin trying to bounce Austin Dillon out of the top dozen and advance to the second round. He's on the apron.
Looks like he's in pretty good shape as he's coming down to the checkered flag waving.
It's a matter of hundredths.
Wow.
Missed it by that much.
Right at the line.
49.684, 1/100th of a second. Matt?
And catching up with Brad Keselowski, who was just bumped in the 2 car. So unique qualifying format, back to how it used to be somewhat, just not enough speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, a little more cut and dry, right? But, you know, qualifying here, you want to win every day. You know, as a race car driver, you want to win every practice, every qualifying session. So, you know, you're always bummed out to not get the pole or qualify at the very front. But, you know, if there's a track where that matters the least, it's probably Talladega come Sunday. And so, you know, we'll take wherever we end up here. Looks like we're going to be somewhere around 15th or 16th and go race.
Thank you, Brad.
Carl Edwards from Columbia, Missouri, new to Joe Gibbs Racing's Toyotas this year, has his Eris Toyota close to breaking into the top dozen. Going the other way now.
Yeah, definitely going the wrong way as he's coming through the tri-oval. Continues to lose some ground here, so he does not look like he's going to be in the top 12. Actually 19th with that 19 car.
Yeah, a lot of that, there's so much to kind of to think about here. Air pressure in the tires, tape on the grill. I'm assuming you tape these things up solid, but some of that losing speed come to the line can be the engine getting too hot.
Next up, Emporia, Kansas driver Clint Boyer for Michael Waltrip Racing, the Peak Commercial and Industrial Toyota for Boyer, who is 14th in the standings with 2 top 10s this year and 2 wins here at Talladega.
Right now, with about 6 or 7 drivers to go, we only have 2 Toyota drivers in the top 12 and 2 Ford drivers. Everything else Chevrolet drivers.
Got a pretty good lap going here, Boyer does. Got 4/10 right there in the bank. 400s. 40 hundreds. I'll get it right in a minute.
It's creeping the wrong way, but I think he may have enough in the bank.
I don't know. Time and time again.
Boy, it's really going the wrong way now.
See these guys lose coming to the line. That looked like it hung on.
Made it. 49.66 for Boyer, and that bumps Austin Dillon's 49.67. Repeat of a Fox Sports project from last year at the All-Star race, 100,000 cameras, where we want to show your social media views of the race here at Talladega on Sunday. It'll air May 14th, Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can tune in to see if your footage made the cut. So you can be a Fox Sports cameraman if you're here at Talladega. Upload your best videos with the hashtag shown and see if you can be part of the show. For more details, foxsports.com/100kcams.
Well, Michael Waltrip will be part of the show tomorrow in a couple of ways, but not looking like he's going to be in the top dozen on this qualifying lap.
Driver of the Aaron's Toyota finished 26th at Daytona, and he clocks in 21st with a 49.82.
Michael making his 58th career start here at Talladega tomorrow.
That's amazing. And always say this, and it's a fact. I don't make it up. I guarantee he'll be up there fighting for the lead.
Yes, he will.
He loves Daytona and Talladega. He loves these tracks like I love Bristol and Martinsville. He loves Daytona and Talladega. It's in his wheelhouse.
Well, here comes Joey Logano for Team Penske in the Shell Pennzoil Ford, the Daytona 500 winner. He is right now the point standing runner-up. 3 poles, 1 victory, 5 top 5s.
And you think about Michael, he's won 2 Daytona 500s. He's won here. He's an excellent restrictor plate racer.
Now Joey's made the final round almost every race this season. Maybe not today.
No, it does not look like it. And his teammate Brad Keselowski's in 14th right now in that 2 car.
He gained some by going to the apron in the tri-oval, but Logano now is 20th at a 49.71.
Mike Darrell, Joey is 49.71, 20th as you said. Jimmy Johnson is 7th at a 49.60.
This will only be the 2nd race where Logano has not made the final round of qualifying. Kevin Harvick is our defending series champion. He wheels the Outback Steakhouse Chevrolet for Stuart Haas Racing.
Mike, there are 12 cars in the 60s from Jimmy Johnson all the way down to Kurt Busch.
And that is Harvick's teammate. Kevin, top 20 or top 10 in both Talladega races last year.
And you can see he's well over a tenth off of Kyle Larson in that 42 car, closing in on a tenth and a half off as he enters the trioval.
Well, you know something that always makes me wonder about a team particularly like this, what kind of car did they bring here for this race? So we talked about handling has become an issue. Put a little extra downforce in the car. She's not going to qualify by herself. She's going to race real good.
23rd for Kevin Harvick as Ryan Blaney, currently third quickest, waits it out. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Nationwide Chevrolet for Rick Hendrick Motorsports. He's led laps in 27 of his 30 races here at Talladega.
Had fun this morning. We sat down for a little while and chatted. Be in the show tomorrow. Just the guy's got so much depth. Thinks about things that I never thought of.
5 wins here.
And right now, he's trying to join his 3 Hendrick Chevrolet teammates to be in the top 12, and he's staying green as he's come to the checkered flag.
Yeah, he's gaining.
6th for Earnhardt, 49.58.
Shut her down.
Just a 100th off teammate Casey Kane. So that will knock Kyle Larson out of the top dozen, and it brings Clint Boyer to the hot seat. Chris Buescher has run his qualifying lap for Front Row Motorsports in the CSX Play It Safe Ford, number 34, 37th, 50.29 for Buescher, who is trying to win the Xfinity Series championship this year. And again, that race follows right here on Fox Sports. Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne from Knoxville in the Advocare Ford for Roush Fenway Racing.
And I mentioned it earlier, right now only 2 Ford drivers in the top 12. Ryan Blaney's third in that 21 car. Sam Hornish Jr. is 9th in the 9 car.
Larry, do you ever get a chance to talk to Bob Osborne, the crew chief on this car?
I do. You know, again, Bob doesn't give you a whole lot, but we at least speak every once in a while in the garage area.
Keeps everything close to the vest.
This will be the end of round 1. Bayne will be the final qualifier. Will it be Trevor Bayne or Clint Boyer in that 12th position? Nope, it's Boyer because Bayne is 26th at a 49.94. So the group above the yellow line on your right will run for the pole. There's the Steve Burns tribute helmet that's being worn by Michael Waltrip today. I'm from Talladega on Fox, sponsored by Kay Jewelers. Every kiss begins with Kay. Jeff Gordon fastest in round 1 at 194.7 miles per hour. The Chevrolets of Gordon and Menard ahead of Ryan Blaney's Ford and Matt Kenseth's Toyota. And there's the rest of your top dozen that will move up to round 2. Jimmy Johnson, 8th fastest, is with Matt.
Jimmy Johnson, 8th fastest in the first session. Now, you were on the front row back in Daytona in February. Do you like the speed you have in your car that you can repeat a run like that?
You know, we went a little slower than we'd expect. And I had a lot of splitter contact with the racetrack, so we put a new splitter on last night, and I think it's still trying to find a home and was dragging and having some resistance in the car. Hopefully, we pick up and run what we thought we would this next outing, so we'll take it as we get it. 24's got a big gap on the field. I want to go get him, but I'm not sure if that's a realistic goal. They seem to have a little bit more pace. But I think we've got a shot at the front row, especially now that we've got the splitter wore down some.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Johnson, one of 12 who will advance, will set the balance of the field for you when we come back to Talladega. 12 drivers will advance, led by Jeff Gordon, to the second and final round. Here is the rest of the field for tomorrow's GEICO 500. Kyle Larson 13th, Austin Dillon 14th, and on back.
Yeah, Kyle Larson missed the top 12 by 3/1000ths of a second.
Now, Larry, how did they go out in this session? Slowest to the fastest.
To fastest.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
And Mike, it took 54 minutes to qualify all those cars.
Top 36 are set by speed, and the rest of the field by car owner points. There are the provisionals, and Michael McDowell and Jeb Burton are the 2 drivers who will head home today and not make the 43 car starting lineup for tomorrow. Now down to Chris Neville for today's edition of Traction Talk, brought to you by TireRack.com.
Well, Mike, checking out all 45 cars that were out on pit lane here, none of them were on sticker tires. And talking with the crew chiefs, they said they went through a heat cycle yesterday getting scuffed tires on the cars because these tires go through a phase of grippiness in those first 2 laps. So they wanted to make sure they went through that yesterday so the tires today had a little bit less rolling resistance on the racetrack. And also one thing I noticed is all these little hairs on the side of the tires, all the teams trim those hairs off. Those are called mold vents. And you got to wonder how much time and money was spent in wind tunnels to figure out you got to trim the mold vents off the tires for qualifying.
Well, I don't know, Chris. We've done that for years. We used to sit there with razor blades and trim those things off, trim the letters down on the side of the tire. I mean, after all, that is in the wind. It's creating turbulence, and the more you can smooth that up and slick it up, the better off you are.
Yeah, now you saw those hoses there going down in Casey Mears' cowl area. They're just cooling the engine down. There the hoses are right there. Some quick disconnects. They're getting that old hot water out, putting fresh cold water in, where to Darrell's point earlier, put as much tape on that nose to help the straightaway speed.
12 drivers will run for the pole at Talladega next on Fox. Coming up next to Talladega on Fox, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Jeff Gordon will join Adam Alexander and Michael Waltrip to call the race next, right here on Fox. The Dillon brothers, Austin and Ty, square off from the front row. And there is Jeff Gordon headed for the booth after he competes in round 2 of qualifying. And here are the drivers who are competing Saturday and Sunday here at Talladega. Quite a list there. So we get ready for round 2. We've had the knockout part of qualifying. Now 12 drivers will run from the pole. Darrell, we saw several drivers drop down to the apron coming through the tri-oval. It's the short way around. Might not be the smoothest way around, but is it faster?
I think, and every driver watched that. That's one of the things they were observing. Quite honestly, when it's all said and done, I'm not sure it helped at all. Jeff Gordon didn't drop down on the apron. And so if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to copy somebody's lap, it's going to be his, because I don't think anybody's got anything for the 24 car.
Larry, as we talked, it's so rare that any driver has 3/10 in the bank at Talladega, where making it or not making it is less than 100th of a second. I mean, Jeff Gordon's first lap, that was massive.
Yeah, and I even saw it on his get up to speed lap. But when we interviewed him, I think he brought up a great point. You know, there's such a balance with these race cars of keeping some heat in the hubs, in the drivetrain, the gear, the transmission, but yet getting that engine as cold as possible. Jeff Gordon went out fairly early in the session. I look at Dale Earnhardt Jr., his teammate went out fairly late. But yeah, regardless, heat or no heat, 3/10 is going to be hard to overcome, but you never know.
You want all the components hot. You just don't want that engine hot. So we got the best of both worlds as we start this second round.
All right, let's hear from the driver who was second fastest in round 1.
Mike, the RCR Chevys looked extremely fast in Xfinity qualifying. Paul Menard, you're trying to put this car on the pole here for the Cup race. You're one of the guys that hit the apron. How much time do you think that helps?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I didn't do it at all yesterday, and we kind of kept that in our back pocket. We saw some nationwide guys do it, maybe pick up a little bit of time. So I said, you know, somebody's got to be the first one too, and we tried it, and it seemed like it worked out. So big pickup from yesterday overall, and you know, guys gave me a really fast, quick Mercedes Chevy.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Matt. Have you ever wanted to be like Michael Dranis, a Fox Sports cameraman? Well, here you go.
So you want to be a camera guy or girl? Now's your chance. Be a part of Fox Sports' groundbreaking 100,000 cameras broadcast. Here's how. 1. Go to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race on Sunday, May 3rd at Talladega Superspeedway, or watch it on TV. 2. Record your race day experience using a camera or camera phone. Get your family and friends on there too. 3. Hold your camera sideways when recording, not up and down. 4. Upload the videos to your social media accounts using the hashtags 100KCams and NASCAR. 5. Tune into Fox Sports 1 Thursday, May 14th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern to see if your footage makes the cut. There. Simple, right? Now go out there and be somebody.
Sounds like a lot of fun. We did that at the All-Star race last year. This year it's here at Talladega tomorrow, and there are the details and where you can find them on the internet. Should be a fun show. Chris?
Well, A.J. Allmendinger already back at his hauler, going to start 31st tomorrow. So what does that mean, that first half of the race, starting that far back in the pack?
Well, good thing was, you know, we got
some of the heads from Kroger and Hungry Jack sitting up there. So I left it up to them. I said, hey, you want me to ride around in the back for a while, or what's your call? And they said, go to the front. So I'm listening to the bosses, the people that pay the money, and we just got more cars to pass before we go to the front now.
There we go, A.J. Allmendinger. He's going to the front in the first half of the race.
Well, let's get him on the phone with Kyle Busch, because last fall here, Kyle was riding around the back. There was a big wreck in front of him. Kyle slowed his car down. Austin Dillon made a rookie mistake, piled into Kyle and took Kyle out of the chase for the Sprint Cup.
Yeah, I think these drivers are realizing now here and at Daytona with these restrictor plates that riding in the back, two things can happen. A, you can just as easily get caught up in a wreck as you are if you're in the middle of the pack. But once you decide to go, if they're 4 wide, 8 rows deep, where are you going to go?
And Dale Jr. told me that these cars, unlike cars in the past where he won a lot of races here, these cars get alongside each other. They stall out. You can't get that swing in, get that side draft and shoot off, and it pushes you forward. You swing in, get that side draft, and it just makes you go, basically run side by side, kind of jockeying back and forth. Can't get that big run like you used to.
The race at Talladega is always one of the most nerve-wracking and sometimes action-filled days of the entire NASCAR season, and it'll be right here on Fox tomorrow. The GEICO 500. Hope you'll tune in and join us for 500 miles of 43 cars at nearly 200 miles an hour. It all begins at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. But our pre-race coverage actually begins with race day on Fox Sports 1 at 11:30 a.m. Eastern.
Mike, it's just like sitting at a poker table. You got to push all your chips to the middle. You got to be all in and hope you don't roll craps.
Chris?
Well, Kyle Larson, just on the outside of that final round, going to start 13th tomorrow. Starting 13th, what does that mean? Do you have good speed in the 42 car?
I think we have decent speed. Happy we did single car qualifying, because normally when we qualify at super speedways, I somehow missed the draft and end up, I think we started 42nd here last time. So, yeah, Target Chevy should be all right. We'll see. It's kind of a crapshoot. Everybody's kind of equal here, so hard to say.
Yeah, his first start here, he got a top 10. Mike?
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready to begin round 2. This is the final round. When we had knockout qualifying at Talladega, it was what line you were in, who you were drafting with, were you first or last in the draft. All of that affected your speed, and all that's been taken out of play with this rapid-fire single-car qualifying format we have today.
That guy right there, that car right there, just think what happened to him at Daytona, trying to qualify. And basically some of the melee that we saw down there trying to qualify that Clint Boyer was involved in led us to where we are today.
Now, round 1, the qualifying order was set by random draw. Round 2, the final 12 drivers go out from 12th fastest to fastest in order.
Right. Yeah, they invert the slowest to the fastest.
Now, one thing that will be a little different this round from the first round that I have to make sure I'm aware of, I was looking at that get up to speed lap. They're starting much deeper down pit road for this round, so the get up to speed lap with its restrictor plate, it's going to be a little quicker. It may not make a difference in the overall qualifying lap, but the get up to speed lap will be quicker.
I think it'll make a difference overall, Larry, because if you can get up to speed quicker on that first lap, it's going to help that second one as you come to the green. So I know when we practiced, we used to come out of the garage and tear out onto the racetrack, and we would get a false reading on how fast the lap was because of that distance from back there coming out of the garage to down here where they set normally. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very helpful.
Clint Boyer on the clock in the Peak Toyota.
Well, here's my point. His get up to speed lap is 56.40. Jeff Gordon's get up to speed lap in the first round was 56.93. That's a half a second faster. It's just the distance that they're starting down pit road versus the first round.
Yep.
49.17 was Jeff Gordon's lap, 194 plus miles per hour in round number 1. So a little extra distance to get up to speed. The engine's probably a little warmer than they were for round 1.
See, I think that's a little bit better. What did he run in the first go round?
Well, he's right on top of it, Darrell. 49.66 this time by for Clint Boyer in round 1. He was 49.667. He gained a thousandth of a second.
He did.
Casey Mears in the GEICO Chevrolet.
And his get up to speed lap is about the same as Clint Boyer's.
I really thought that extra speed, getting up to speed on that first lap, would pay off on the second one, but if you look at Boyer, it absolutely did nothing.
No, evidently they come to the line to the green flag and they are at max terminal velocity.
Yeah, they're maxed out. I like that.
Or mad maxed out, depending on what's in theaters this week.
Just not ludicrous.
Not ludicrous speed, no.
No.
Saw Boyer on his cool down lap there. And here's Mears. Well, he goes to the apron.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
I think I don't know if that helps or not, but it makes me feel better to do it. I just think that's what I'd try.
He ran a 49.67 earlier, and again, 49.69. Darrell, I think it's that old theory: when you get here, you got what you got.
I think you're right. Can't get milk out of a rock.
Tony Stewart, the Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet, was 10th in round 1 with a 49.63. See how he does in round 2. And Larry Mack's off for pre-race for the Xfinity Series.
I'm going to join Danielle Trotta and Greg Biffle because Kenny Wallace is racing in the Xfinity Series race. We're going to break down a lot of things, mainly reigning champion Chase Elliott, how his 2015 season is going.
Just don't let Biffle be bugging you down there.
That's coming up next here on Fox. As Tony Stewart looks like he's going to take the top spot.
Yeah,
from Clint Boyer.
Pretty nice lap.
And he comes right downstairs onto the apron, almost to the grass.
I think I'll use the apron. Crowd has it.
49.50 for Stewart. That is a pickup of 13/100ths over round 1.
And I don't think he used the apron on the first go round. So maybe these guys think, well, hold that in the bank. Maybe no one will notice.
Sam Hornish Jr. All right, yesterday our stat boys in the booth and the graphics guys in the truck got into a big to-do over north-facing rivers and what driver lived closest to a north-facing river. The Oglala River begins down near Lima, runs westward past Fort Amanda, an important outpost in the War of 1812, and then turns north, and the confluence of the Oglala River and the Maumee River is right next to Fort Defiance, now Defiance, Ohio, hometown of Sam Hornish. Score, graphics department 0, stat boys 0. The winner came from the internet. On Twitter, no less.
I saw that, but I just didn't really think a lot about it.
Sam Hornish, 49.78. He is 4th of 4 in his Medallion Bank Ford for Richard Petty Motorsports.
But I do think it's cool that you're from Defiance.
Got to be a cool hometown, that's right. Especially if you're an athlete.
Right.
So here's Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevrolet to make his run. His first qualifying pass was a 49.60.
Well, quite honestly, Mike, you should, in all honesty, an ideal qualifying run would be go out and heat up the hubs, the gear, the transmission. As I said, all those parts, get a little heat of nose, then cool the engine down, and your oil temps are up, which you want the oil temps to be up. Cool that engine down. You should be able to make a better lap this time than you did the first time.
Jimmy with 2 100ths in the bank in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
Go ahead.
Be close.
Yeah, he actually went up the hill a little bit there.
Dropping a little in the triangle, it goes to the red.
Yeah. He didn't use the apron, and he went up the hill a little bit off turn 4.
But he's fastest. 49.50 for Johnson.
I'm going to quit looking at track.
First, boss. Very nice.
49.507 coming off the tri-oval and down to the line. 49.60 in round 1. 49.50. He picked up a 10th.
Yep. And that's really the history of restrictor plate cars and engines. Go out, heat everything up, come in, cool the engine down, go back out. You'll always run a 10th or 2 quicker. That's been the kind of the history of these things.
David Reagan from Renadilla, Georgia, in the Pedigree Dog Food Toyota. That's for Joe Gibbs Racing. He moves to Michael Waltrip Racing beginning next week, which will be his new home for the balance of the season in the 55.
And we've actually qualified here with tires that had 10, 15 laps on them, because you just don't want to bog the car. You don't want a lot of grip. You want the least amount of rolling resistance. You want the least amount of resistance in your drivetrain everywhere else. That's what slows you down on these restrictor plate tracks.
You see a nice thanks David above the door. A salute to him from Joe Gibbs Racing for the job he's done. Third quickest. Now he's 2/100 slower than he was in round one, 49 at a 49.61. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Nationwide Chevrolet right now. The Hendrick engine department's Chevrolet engines are first and second with Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart. 49.58 with a 7 for Earnhardt in round one. He'll be the 7th of our 12 drivers to take time. They call him the Pied Piper here at Daytona and here at Talladega, Darrell.
Yeah, well, there was a time when no matter where he went, he was always going to be out front. No matter where he went, everybody followed him. Heck, I think if he had come in the garage and went to the bathroom, they'd all followed him at one time. Hadn't won here for a while. Looking to pull off a big win this weekend. He thinks he's got a fast enough car to do it.
Wow, that number's growing as he comes into the tri-oval.
He's real happy with his car in practice, other than it had a little shaking, a little vibrating. Pretty nice lap, looks to me like.
Top of the board for Earnhardt, 49.463.
Good job, 49.46, P1.
He reluctantly used the apron. He got the left sides down on the yellow line. Didn't go all the way down to the apron, and you know, it's driver preference, really. I don't think there's a lot there.
But most importantly, he gained 12/100ths of a second over his first round run, and that gives Hendrick Motorsports right now the front row with Earnhardt and Johnson. Here's the third of their 4 bullets in this session. Casey Kane in the Farmers Insurance Chevrolet.
Well, rumor had it that these Hendrick cars would probably be 1, 2, 3, 4 when qualifying was over.
Kane, right from the get-go, is in the green.
Flirting with it. It's actually gaining. That's good stuff. He's right down on that yellow line. He stays off the apron, keeps the car nice and smooth. Pretty good lap.
Best in show, 49.44. Kane picks up 13/100ths. He is 2/100ths of a second faster than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
At the top. Right now you got 5.88 and 48, and we know how fast Jeff Gordon was. So rumor had it, I think it might be actually a true story. These Hendrick cars are going to be hard to beat.
Ryan Blaney from a great Ohio racing family now makes his home in North Carolina for the Wood brothers out of Stewart, Virginia, and the Motorcraft Quick Lane Ford. In Stewart, just off Highway 58, is the former Wood Brothers shop and now racing museum. It is a treasure trove of the history of the sport. If you're a Ford fan, I'd say a trip there is every bit the equal of going to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So it's a wonderful place to visit and just celebrate the history of this family race team that's been in NASCAR almost since the sport was born.
Yep, and the lineup of drivers that has driven this 21 car through the years is a who's who of auto racing.
Second for Ryan Blaney. He breaks the Hendrick stranglehold on the front 4. 49.46.
Rumor did not have him doing that.
But these cars are always strong at Daytona and Talladega. Maybe it's still a little bit of that Leonard Wood mechanical wizardry that put him into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. He was an expert at eliminating and minimizing driveline drag.
I think Jeremy Bullins might disagree with that a little bit. He's pretty good at
he's got a lot to do with it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then there were 3. Matt Kenseth in this Joe Gibbs Dollar General Toyota.
Right now we got Toyota 6th and 7th with Reagan and Boyer 6th and 7th. Kenseth is 10th.
So he'll be the last Toyota to run. Then the Chevrolets of Menard and Gordon. Keeps a nice tight line. down against that double yellow line that denotes out of bounds on race day. Not so during qualifying.
And Matt's just kind of letting the car flow around the racetrack. We're not fighting with the car, just letting it go where it wants to, keeping a nice low line.
He's the fastest Toyota, Darrell. 6th for Kenseth, 49.52. A drop off of 2 100ths from his round 1 qualifying lap. Eau Claire, Wisconsin's Paul Menard in the Menards Quaker State Chevrolet from Richard Childress Racing. 2nd in round 1.
And when I say it kind of lets the car go where it goes where it wants to, you just don't want to be cranking on that wheel. You want to let the car kind of lead you around the racetrack, because when you're cranking on the wheel, you're slowing it down. Now, obviously, you can't run all over the racetrack, but what I'm saying is you just don't want to, you kind of give the car its head. You don't fight with the car, you work with the car.
Car comes up a foot or two coming off the corner, off that line, and now to the trioval. Apron or no?
Nope. Right down on the yellow line. It seems to be just, like I said, driver preference.
6th for Menard. He goes from a 49.49 to a 49.51.
Well, rumor had it that the Hendrick cars would be hard to beat, and apparently the Ryan Blaney didn't get that memo.
Nope.
But now the fastest car from first round with 3/10 in the bank from first round, Jeff Gordon, see if he can secure the pole here with this run.
In his final season in the Sprint Cup Series, final full-time season, Jeff Gordon by a lot in the green going off into turn 1. He won the pole for the Daytona 500. Remember, that was not single car qualifying. That was the multiple car knockout qualifying format.
He's just constantly building speed. He was good in 1 and 2. He's gaining speed in straight line speed down the back straightaway. This car is absolutely spot on, well prepared.
He was fastest in round 1 by more than 3/10, 32 100ths.
Well, he's got 2 in the bank now and gaining. This car is just so fast, and really fast in a straight line, and it doesn't slow down in the corners. This car is just really, really free and running fast. Look at this time. Oh,
feels good. Let's see. Yeah, you got it. Good job, guys. Awesome job, guys. That's all you right there. All you guys.
Yep. Big cheer from the crowd. By 28 100ths of a second, Jeff Gordon, 3rd on the all-time list, has won his 80th career pole in the Sprint Cup Series. His last pole came at Las Vegas. This is his 3rd of the season. 23 straight years Jeff Gordon has won at least 1 pole.
And did you see, this is what I like about this kind of qualifying, did you see how excited that the crew was? I mean, they were jumping up and down and celebrating because they had more to do with this than anybody. Gave Jeff a great car, and he took advantage of it.
Hendrick Chevrolet teammates will share the front row. Jeff Gordon and Casey Kane, who's with Chris Neville.
Well, Casey Kane down here doing a little debrief after that qualifying session. Casey, your teammate up there on the front row next to you, obviously a Hendrick car strong this weekend.
Yeah, the Hendrick cars are really strong. The engines are running great. Our Farmers Insurance Chevy was faster right there. I told Jeff I was coming to the front row. I knew I wouldn't beat him because he's really quick, but I knew we could get up to 2nd with a couple things there. So I was really happy with that. It's a good starting spot, and hopefully tomorrow we stay out of trouble and we're there at the end and have a shot.
Yeah, his best starting spot of the year. Mike?
So the 4 Hendrick Chevys are bisected by Ryan Blaney in 3rd in the Ford. 4 Chevys, 1 Ford in the Fast 5. Jeff Gordon on that coast down lap to come into the garage area, and then he will change from Superman to Clark Kent and come up in the broadcast booth, where he will tell us all about his pole-winning run.
I think he held it wide open.
Xfinity Series racing coming up next. 2 Chevys on the front row, Gordon and Kane. Blaney's Ford, the rookie, with Earnhardt, Johnson and Stewart, Menard and Kenseth. Toyotas of Reagan and Boyer. Then a Chevy Ford row 6, Mears and Hornish. That was your 2nd round.
Mike, I think we've hit our stride now with this qualifying procedure. This was a lot of fun. It didn't take all afternoon to do it. A couple of hours here. We got all the cars qualified. We got a great pole sitter here with Jeff Gordon at 194 miles an hour.
what a great afternoon of qualifying, and it didn't take very long to get it done.
No, and you end up with a bunch of contenders back in rows 9 through 11, fairly deep in the field, but that doesn't seem to matter here when they fan out 4 wide at Talladega. And you'll see them do that at nearly 200 miles an hour tomorrow on Fox, the Sprint Cup race, the GEICO 500. Jeff Burton and Michael McDowell are the 2 drivers who failed to qualify. Jeff Gordon has won the Coors Light pole for tomorrow's GEICO 500.
The slick piece right there, buddy.
With almost 0.3 of a second in the bank, that is all but unheard of. Great performance by Jeff Gordon. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing coming up next.